Well, Jason, thank you for being a guest. Does that mean he hadn't paid his dues yet? Oh, ha! If you notice, we went to a different system up here to try and keep up with who's paid dues and who hasn't by if you paid your dues. Supposedly, you should be on this printout up here with your name on it. So if you don't find your name there and you have paid your dues, you just see Rita. So, or you can make sure you pay them and get on the list. So that makes it easy. Jason, you missed it. They just passed you and you weren't even here. Get with Rita. Fact is, you're up for show and tell.
Who, me?
You are.
You're for this man. Which
Right
camera?
there. Right here. Camera's right here. So just hold it right there and they'll see you.
Okay. So two pieces. This is a piece of cherry that I've drilled very lovingly, with a lot of holes. I'm planning on dyeing it and then gilding the inside and lacquering it. So tried to work with compression to make the piece feel like it's plastic. So it gets really, the holes get really small in there to kind of make it feel that way. That's the first one.
Use a regular bit or a phosphate?
They're Forstner bits. Yeah, if you're gonna do this technique, so the technique is get a really good quality Forstner bit, and then you drill it from the outside after you get your form. So you turn your form, drill it from the outside, and then you get to turn from the inside, which is really fun because you don't have to eject your shavings, but your shop gets sprayed with shavings. So otherwise you get tear out if you drill after. So you want to drill before hauling. This is a piece of Norfolk Island pine. It looks like I drilled through the bottom, but it was actually pith that was rotted out in a perfect round shape. So I'm waiting for it to dry and then I'll plug the hole in the bottom. Thank you.
Right behind the plate.
Right here.
No, right behind it. Where we turn.
Okay,
Right there.
okay. This is a lovely little piece that everyone needs. It's a clean out for your headstock and your tailstock. And if you don't do it often, your your Morse table gets stuck in there, and you may have a hard time getting it out. I had a terrible experience, and so I want everyone to make one of these that's tapered and it fits in, and you just ream it around. It's like flossing, right? Yes. And I want everyone to make one.
Well, good job, y'all.
Easy.
Sit right there and show it.
All right, now this is your fault.
Okay.
When you decided a couple months ago we're gonna have a fire. So I went back through and I started looking to see what we had. What I was going to go away to the fire. Anyhow, had a couple bowls or beads that beads of courage. And my wife said, those don't make it. Those lids don't make it. You got to make a different lid for them. So, okay, I did that. This is one of the lids that she didn't like. And I had this piece laying around. It was hollow. So it works. It fits. So I made a bottom for it too. So this is what you do with your leftovers.
That's 3 pieces altogether.
Pardon?
That's 3 pieces.
Actually, 4. The top. This is a acrylic.
So did the lid accidentally fit, or did you turn it and then
What is that?
did the lid accidentally fit, or did you turn it to fit?
No, actually, I turned this piece to fit the
Fit the
lid.
lid.
Yeah, and then this was mounted and I turned this out. Proved that this fits down inside this.
All looks intentional.
All of it's intentional, yeah. Actually, they weren't intentional to be left. They should have been used elsewhere. But
Right.
they were intentionally put together like this. And this one has been sitting up on the shelf. People that's been in the shop up on the wall there. Been sitting there year and a half. I'm looking at that. Well, do I take that to Jack's or see what I can do with it? And that's what I'm gonna see if it's retrievable, maybe throw it away or whatever later. And it actually turned down round. It was way out, but I turned it down round, made a lid that fit. I thought it come out looking pretty good. I guess it was worth saving. Yeah, this one was up on the shelf and I drug it down, finished it up. I like the pattern of the wood. Not sure what kind of wood it is, but it might be sycamore. And the last piece here, talked to Paul about this, but this is golden fluorescent, golden flamboyant. There we go. That this is turned, but there's no finish on it. It's just turned. And gives a great, I don't know where the grain pattern, if you get a chance to look at it. It's easy to work, finish is nice. I like to use it. But all you gotta do is talk Paul out of it. When she has it. She's that back there, give me a very good.
Got a couple of ash bowls that I've been working on, pretty nice with plain ash. The outside I distressed, I used a cup wire brush with a lathe spinning, the cup wire brush into my regular sanding drill to abrade the softer part of the grain, and then milk paint, so it's got a pretty good 3D effect. The second one get a little bit better because you get some wider grain patterns on the bigger bowl, but gonna try a couple more of these and see where it goes. So
Both of these on your birdhouse. Who's of these? I got a whole thing. Come on up. Bird and chicken too. Yes, it was. That's right. These are just leftover Christmas presents. I made 17 chain pulls. I don't know why I got inspired by a spark plug. I'm possessed sometimes. These are wine stoppers that look like spark plugs. And then 4 little birdhouses. And that's a little birdhouse. This one ended up with a copper roof. I just took some thin copper sheet and I tapered a hole into a block of wood and just beat it up with a hammer and a little end of a Phillips screwdriver. I think that's it. I wasn't here Christmas, or I would like to have shared this. Yet another unfinished wine stopper. Like I said, I gave them all away except for these 21 spark plug chain pulls and 17 spark plug wine stopper.
Well, I survived the Florida Symposium, and I'll tell you all about it shortly. But let me start off with this piece. This is one of my demo pieces that I did at the symposium, and it went to auction, and Don Penny's lovely wife, Kathy, bought it. And, so, Don, come be responsible for it. Take it to them. That way, I don't have to worry about it anymore.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I did a series of polyforms, and I also did a rotation on different types of coloring. This is a piece that I did a dyed back color on. It did not get finished at the symposium. I finished it at home. It will be up here since we did not have a raffle item last month. I've donated it to the club. It'll be up here to raffle off, so it'll get raffled off April, okay? This is a piece that I started at the symposium lacquering, and unfortunately, when I got it home, I knocked it off the table, or I think I knocked it off the table. Somebody knocked it off the table. We have two cats. It could have been me. It could have been them, and it broke the top of it out. So one of the things about experienced wood turning, you figure out how to hide stuff. So I put some of my signature paint here. This piece is up here. I donated it to the club. It'll be available for a silent auction. Silent auction piece. Okay. And I have actually two other pieces. This piece is a piece I also started at the symposium using some of my splatter paint ideas I did. I did not finish it there. Unfortunately, you don't have the option to buy this when I'm keeping this piece. So I have one other piece up here. You can see it if you want to. It goes to one of our members. We asked me to turn it for him. And I think that closes out did I miss anybody on show and tell? So we have a couple of people that did not sign in because I'm counting more people up here than we have over here. So if you did not get signed in or you did not check your name, please do so before you leave, because we keep records of who attends. And I can tell you right now, this is the best attendance we've had in at least 2 years. So thank you for coming. We have a couple of guests, and thank you for the guests that showed up. The Florida Wood Turning Symposium was a couple of weekends ago. Ron Browning? Okay, great. Thank you, Ron. I'll just talk about Ron. Ron did a great job, and I want to thank everybody that was associated with the symposium. Look, it was tough. It was a brand new venue. We hadn't done it in 3 years. It was hard on everybody. I went into it thinking, I never want to do this again, but I went out of it thinking, this was great. I'm ready to have another one. So it changed my mind. We knew about the problems coming out of it. The people that attended had the opportunity to critique each turner and each demonstrator. They also had the opportunity to critique. Would somebody close that door, please? They also had the opportunity to critique the overall. And so the administrators and the people that put it on, and I think there's 8 clubs involved in putting it on. So it's a pretty big operation. You're talking $50,000 to $60,000 to put this thing on every year. So I think in spite of the fact that we had some video problems because some of our equipment, some of the symposium equipment got used along with by contract, some of the venue equipment, and some of it did not match up really well. I want to thank Stephanie. Stephanie saved a couple of my demonstrations because my video equipment was not working, and she was able to put my PowerPoint up at the same time that I was turning things. So it kept people entertained, and they went away saying, at least the people that talked to me said good things. So I thought it was an overall success. If you didn't make it this year, you certainly should make it next year. It was well worth it. Next year, we will have ironed a bunch of these problems out. You can see from all of this stuff that we have up here, we're still growing with our hybrid meetings. We got a cart built. Stephanie's got everything she needs over here to run it. Now we just need some volunteers to do it so she doesn't have to do it every month.
I have it all documented.
She has it all documented. It's, plug A goes into slot A kind of thing. It's not that complicated. It looks. I want to thank Ron Browning came up and spent about 4 hours with Stephanie and I mostly Stephanie on Saturday, going through all of this stuff, seeing how it was built in anticipation of seeing how they're going to change the symposium in the future. We're still entertaining the idea of joining some other clubs so that we can supply you with hybrid links to other club meetings in exchange for us supplying them with our Zoom meetings so that they can watch us and our demonstrators, and we can watch them and their demonstrators. Yes, Stephanie.
I don't know if it's relevant, but Ron says 2.5 of your recordings came out wrong.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So if you guys don't know Ron Browning, you should go to the Florida Symposium. He's a super guy. Ron's been instrumental in wood turning in around this area for at least 20 years, maybe 30, I don't know. Back on track. So we got all this stuff. We're still building it. We're still ironing some bugs out of it. If anybody wants to volunteer, we'll be glad to have you and train you and could use your assistance. We also have a website and a Facebook page that needs managing. If anybody wants to take that over or at least assist in it, because as I understand it right now, nobody's doing anything with it. Certainly not me. I'm staying busy. I can't think of anything. Paula's got some safety gear in the back. Ernie's got some sanding equipment in the back. No wood made it here. We will have a sawdust session on Saturday at my house. Paula's assured me we'll get some wood there. So if anybody needs some wood, they can show up there and offer whatever it's worth. Yes, Carl.
I brought some red prismatic cedar. I thought there was any other wood for sale, but I just priced it on maybe $5 to $7 all of my goods.
Okay, so there is some wood here. There's some cedar over there. If you want it, grab it. Somebody hold Rita back until other people have a chance. Okay.
A nice dark red cedar.
Dude. Oh. Okay, all right. The best piece is gone. That's all right.
It's been dead for over a year, and that's why it's gray bark. And also there's just this amount of purple bark.
Great. Thank you, Carl, for your donation. Do we have any business that needs to be brought up? Nobody? Well, since we will not have a raffle because we don't have any wood to raffle off, and that's back there, let's take a 5-minute break. At 7:30, we'll get started and we'll turn it over to Mr. Watson, who's going to turn us some stacked birdhouses and tell us all about them. Few-minute break. Raffle tickets for this. If you want to sign up for the silent auction there, you can sign up on that. Take a break. No, they'll spot it. Yeah.
You're Corey. That's what you said. Isn't that a spear by definition?
It's a problem, like you can hold it, but yeah, you can hold it. Yeah. It's going through. Yes.
Find a seat, please. One of the things I forgot to mention, I'm gonna pass this around. This Woodturners Worldwide Online Symposium. I guess it's about every 4 months, they run a 2-day event thing here. And Larry brought it in. He says he's viewed it before. I never have. I'll pass this around. You can see what's coming up here. I think a lot of people have got burnt out on these, but it's got some really good demonstrators on here. Take a look at it. If you're interested, you can go online and sign up for it. If you're like me, you've already gotten 15 emails about it. So. Thank you. Charles is going to demonstrate for us tonight. When I started wood turning, there were about 4 people that were really instrumental in teaching me what to do and, more important, what not to do. Charles was one of those. Greg, where are you out there? Greg's out there somewhere. Greg was another one that helped train me. So I have a lot of respect for these guys.
I was one of the ones that taught him what not to do.
Charles says he was one of the guys telling me what not to do. But anyway, he's an excellent turner. He's going to do some birdhouses and I'll turn it over to him. Thank you. By the way, we'd love to have you stand up here and demonstrate. If you've never done it before, you need some assistance, see me or Jason. Somebody will help you demonstrate and learn how.
You can be a new turner, still demonstrate not knowing.
Hey, we did.
Yeah.
I turned birdhouses in the past, and at some point I got to thinking, well, what if I start putting a couple of them together? So I wound up making this, and I had another one similar. This one is rough, it's got bark around it. The other one was made out of a large enough pieces that it's solid, just wood exterior without the bark. That was the fancier one. That was my uptown version. This is the lower rent area. Basically, there's only 3 parts to it. There's a top here, then there's the individual sections, and then I plug the bottom of it. So if you can do this one in the top part and a plug for the bottom, you got it made. You just make 4 of them or whatever number you want to use. Like I say, you can make it out of any wood. I like to use, this is sycamore, had a limb that I cut. There's plenty of sycamore around, cherry would work. This has been cut. Well, this one was done about a year ago, the 2 that I made at that time. The wood I'm using tonight was cut about 2 months ago. It's still got some water in it. And I'll go through that when I get to it. You can find the wood anywhere. If you've got a sycamore tree, you find like a limb the size that you want to make a birdhouse and cut it off and cut a section out of it. Each piece is cut about 5 inches long. If you don't have any, look at your neighbor's yard. You can ask him if he can use it, cut a piece off of his tree. If he's not, wait till he goes to the store. That's what we're going to be trying to turn. I'm going to start with the first basic unit. And we'll start by cleaning up the end. Put a tenon on it, turn it around. Frank Hall, get on to it. This is something I use it regularly. This is from Robust. Not to sell something that they make. It comes in real handy. I use it for spindle pieces, bowls, whatever. This is large enough that you get enough friction on it to turn the piece, but if you get a bad catch, it'll still slip. So, and I have made it slip. So. Then I'm gonna clean up the bottom of it and start the bottom of the piece is dished slightly. What we'll do is we'll dish this, drill a hole in it. Then I'll do this outside. This is one that I did. I like to leave the tenon on. Let them dry. Do some green wood. Pass that around. A bore a hole in it. You can any size. I like to make it big enough that I can get in it and clean it out when after I get my hole. We'll bore a hole 2 1/4 inches deep, and that comes right to the edge of my chuck here. You can either drill it or you can clean it out with a spindle gouge. This point, I like to go ahead and shape my outside. Let's see. This is going to be 3 inches deep. We'll just mark it here. edge of this, even area, so I'm looking at this down here, and I'm seeing the shadow. It comes around. So, now I want part of it turned, and I want to leave some of the bark, so. And it's turning, I could look through between my new west and. Right. Depending on how much you want left. You know, you take it down. If you got a larger piece, you could take it down all the way, take all the bark off, or like this, I want to leave some of it on, so. I may take a little more off yet. I want to put a tenon on the end of this because this piece fits into the next piece. So. This is set to just slightly larger than my hole, my drill bit that I use. All right. Next, I think I'll go ahead and drill my hole where the bird goes in. That's a 1/2 inch. And then I'm gonna drill a hole,
Stephanie,
stake for the bird to sit on. And I'm drilling it about at the bottom of the other hole and off to the side, so. Now the 1/8 inch is, well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit for my bird to rest on. I'm gonna put a little piece sticking out here. And this is a bamboo skewer. You can find it in any grocery store or some other places, hobby store. But it's almost the 1/8 inch. May have to sand it just a little. We'll put it in later and cut it off to the length we want. But I don't want it to be very heavy. Need to hollow out some of the inside.
hey, Stephanie. Oh. Harold asked me to ask a question to see if you could hear me. I'll like, what speed is he turning or?
There's a question. If you listen to that speaker that's hanging on the camera right there,
The what?
there's a speaker right there.
Yeah.
Okay, John, ask again.
What speed are you turning?
A little bit less than wide open.
A little bit less?
I like that.
Well, go ahead and crank it up.
I like to turn it fast because I can take a lot less off with each cut. You take off a small, fine amount. Rather, if you turn it slower, you tend to take more off each time. So
That makes sense.
that's my theory. I get less catches by cutting a thin cut each time than cutting a heavier cut. This is a little tool I made that I use for hollowing. It's got a carbide cutter on the end. I got a laser on the top set for a little over 1/8 of an inch away. And when I go in here, I watch it. The thinnest part is going to be where that bark is. So when it comes around, I see that laser dot start to lengthen. I know I'm getting thin in that spot. Take this one.
What did you mean about the laser dot lengthening when it starts?
Well, when
I
it's
saw
thick,
I saw the dot, but why does it? give
when
it-
it's thick, it's gonna be,
Oh, just because of distance.
when it gets close, it drops off the side.
I see,
And the bark is the thinnest part. So it's not gonna be consistent. But you will see it start to lengthen when it hits that thinnest part. And when it's thicker, like here, this one just beginning to get close. This one doesn't have bark on it. What happened to the other one? You passed one around. Did it come back? Point here, where it's on the bark, is dropped off the side. When I get around here, most of the dots still on the edge. But I know it's getting close. It's closer here because it's done started to drop off, so I've got the distance between where that dot is and the corner of my cutting tool. And you have to keep it, you want to keep it fairly centered, level. If you get up closer to the top, then you can go through the side of it before the dot ever gets close to the edge. But as long as you keep it centered, that gives you a pretty accurate measurement. I use this for most of my small hollowing stuff. I think you'll find it, some of the larger hollowing tools that come with a laser. Same idea. All right, let's see. So this is the basic unit here. Now, usually I like to leave it, but if my wood's green, I'll leave it just like this until it dries, give it a couple of weeks. And then I'll come back and I'll measure it again with my calipers to make sure that I'm close. Usually when it dries, it's going to warp some.
Charles, did you make that tool?
Yeah. Actually, the other reason I like to leave it with the tenon on it is so that once it dries, I can come back and sand it. And My hole is a little rough where it went through. So I take a piece of sandpaper and roll it up. And I can knock some of that fuzzy stuff off. Now I like to, you can finish it at this point. I like to use the two-part epoxy. I would mix up a little bit, put some paper on your lathe so you don't get it on it, but use a little Harbor Freight and a lot of other places make these, what they call an acid flux brush. Little brush with black bristles on it. I use that to brush the epoxy on, and then take a paper towel and wipe off all of it you can. Let it sit overnight for a couple of days. Come back with a piece of 320 or something, or 400, and just lightly sand that coating again, like I did here. It leaves a real smooth finish. It won't shine much unless you buff it, or I usually put some wax on it. That's the easiest way to get a shine on it. And then once I've got the finish on it, then I'll put my little piece in, and the little birds came from Hobby Lobby, and you can see what do you call it? Super glue. Super glue him to that little piece. Well, I'd wait to put him on until you get some of them together, but let me go ahead and cut this off. Once you've got 4 of them, you start cutting them off, and then fit them to that. And the easiest way, well, since I've got this in here, I think it's enough to make my top with. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the top sits on here. Again, I'm gonna undercut it slightly. I'm gonna put I could do it with the drill bit or with the spindle gouge. Got a recess for this to fit in. Don't believe that.
So are you using a spindle gouge?
I'm using spindle gouge for this, you know. And for old times to get lucky, it fits. Yeah. Maybe just. I got a little loose. Even worse. No. Let me get another piece. right in the top. I'm shooting for something like this. Well, okay. Now, what I usually do, once these are dry, they can cut them off, get them where they're fit. Start gluing them up, put one in here. I'd probably leave this tin in here just a little bit thicker than that. This will get kind of down here. Glue this one up, glue the next one up. I take the tailstock. That up in the center. And then a little glue on it. Press it into place. Back up. Take your next one. You may have to take it out of the chuck, but when you take something out of the chuck and you go to put it back in, it's a good idea to use this, center it. And then when you put the next one in, pull it up again and center it. And this is the other three. Actually, I would put this one in the bottom of this. But they were done the same way. They were pressed in with some glue around them. But this is the top one for this, so. Any questions of what we're doing here? The next thing that only, this is the two parts. This is one, you do it 4 times. This you do once for the top. And then we want to make a plug for the bottom.
What glue them when they're wet?
No.
Do you find it when they drop it, you're not expecting, or you don't?
Well, I'm afraid to split it, because when they, I try to, if I cut a piece of limb and I don't try to make, like this limb had a close spot here with the bark. This had one here, and I rotate them, try not to match them up. When it dries, I don't know if they're gonna be still, I'd rather clean that hole up a little bit until it fits. Because when it shrinks, if it's out around, it's not gonna go in, most likely. So I like to let it dry, plus I can put the finish on it once it's dry. I'd rather keep it apart until I get it ready to put together and then put the finish on it. You could spray this with lacquer or whatever finish you want to put on it. I just happen to like the two parts. What? Just the 2-part bar top finish. I've got a gallon of it. You probably don't need a gallon. Over time, I've had mine probably a couple of years now. A part tends to get thickens up. You say you can put it in water, heat it up to 127 degrees, and it gets liquid again. I've done that before.
Microwave, 1 part.
Yeah. Well, not my microwave. Yeah.
Are you just using spindle gouges? Are you just using spindle gouges?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even a.
Yeah. Well, you can do it with spindle gouge, whatever following tool you might have.
You do it with a bowl gouge?
I wouldn't, not on that smaller piece. If you wanna use a roughing a gouge or something, like to get it down quicker. I don't have the fourth piece on here yet, but I'm gonna fit it to that, so. You turn this piece until it fits your bottom. That's just to plug the hole. I should have left a little more wood in here. Now we take. You have to slow it down. Plugged, and I think trim it up a little bit, sand it. And we don't have to have 4, we can go with the 3. So,
Design opportunity.
right. I think what happened is this one was close enough, fairly tight, and I meant to take it off. And I left it overnight. It don't come off, so.
I think there's a theory in art that says odd number clusters tend to look more interesting.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Flowers and arrangements of 3 or 5 are there.
Yeah. And who's on the way to build anything? Any questions? You didn't get never did get the picture, did you? Yeah, and you can't put the, I made a little sign on this one, and I'll try to make a stand for this, but I had a little sign on here. Says for sale. Nature's Corner Bird Condominium starting at 300,000. It doesn't say.
You're not ready to sell it.
It doesn't say that in dollars. I think it might be bugs and worms. No question, that's it. Yeah, you know.
Anybody have questions for Charles?
Charles, you just glue them together with CA glue?
Yeah. Well, I usually use type 3, type bond, but you could use, if you like CA, then use it.
Anybody have anything they need to bring up? Sorry, you missed that earlier when I was talking about it? Probably because you were next door. Yeah, auto session this weekend, 9 to 12 at my home. If you've never been there before and you need directions, see Rita, she'll probably has a map over there somewhere. She'll show you. Thank you, everyone. This is by the way, this is the best turnout we've had in probably 5 or 6 years. Going back to the Bell as we were, as the club was declining then. So I thank each and every one of you for coming. And the guests that showed up like Jason, if you pay your dues, you don't have to be a guest. Thank you.
Ron Browning, it's a good demo. You watched it.
All right.